Hey guys, welcome to today's video. Today we're going to be talking about a really interesting Senate election in the state of Iowa. Now, I am not going to lie, I was on the cusp of making a video and a joining podcast today about the Arizona Senate election, where challenger candidate and husband of former Arizona Representative Gabby Giffords, her husband Mark Kelly, looks as though he has a very good chance of flipping the state Senate seat. They're adding another seat to the Democrats' push for a Senate majority. However, then I saw this poll, which put Democratic challenger Theresa Greenfield 3 points ahead of incumbent Republican Senator Joni Ernst in a state that Donald Trump won by a convincing margin, the state of Iowa. Now, this really surprised me because while it's still in the margin of error, Joni Ernst won, as we can see up here. Joni Ernst won her Senate election in 2014 by 8.5%, almost 9%. And so a flip like this, a flip of over 11% in a state that's pretty solidly pro Donald Trump, is really something to be talking about. So the question is, does Theresa Greenfield have a chance at defeating Tea Party favorite Joni Ernst? Joni Ernst was swept in the Tea Party wave of 2014 that saw Republicans gain 9 Senate seats. So Theresa Greenfield actually only just won the Democratic Party primary. And while the Cook Political Report, Sabados Crystal Ball, and Politico all rate this a lean Republican Senate seat, Theresa Greenfield has started to pull ahead of Joni Ernst in the state in the state of Iowa. And this is a similar phenomenon as Jamie Harrison is currently seeing actually in South Carolina, which is that she started out way low compared to Joni Ernst, 22% down to Joni Ernst. However, in the next poll, it saw her down 7%, Theresa Greenfield down 7%. Next poll, her down 6%. Next poll, her down 1%. And then the following poll showing her leading by 2, 3, and 3% respectively. So now, is that enough to win the election? Absolutely not. And sorry, someone's lighting off fireworks near me, so you might hear that on the audio. Is that enough to win this election? No, it's not. However, as the Democratic Party starts to coalesce around their nominees, as Theresa Greenfield starts to see high-profile endorsements from unions like the AFL-CIO in Iowa, as well as the Brady Campaign, Emily's List, Giffords League of Conservation Voters, NARAL, Pro-Choice America, Women's Political Committee. That will hopefully, if you're Theresa Greenfield, start to translate over into fundraising, into a boost in fundraising, which is something that she's going to need if she has a prayer of beating Joni Ernst in this state that is trending increasingly Republican. Al Gore won the state in 2000. George Bush, the Republican, won the state in 2004. Obama won it in 2008 and 2012, only for Donald Trump in 2016 to win it by a pretty convincing margin. So let's see how their respective fundraising is doing. Well, in the big picture, Joni Ernst has raised just over $12 million, spent $5,223,000, leaving her with just under $7 million on hand. This was reported on May the 13th. However, Theresa Greenfield has seen a much smaller haul. She's raised $7 million, just over $7 million, spent $2,300,000 with $4,738,000 on hand. So now, as we can see, Joni Ernst has outspent Theresa Greenfield. However, that has not seemed to save her from her somewhat lagging poll numbers in the state of Iowa. Now, that's not to say that Theresa Greenfield is doing poorly in fundraising. In a state where she's running against an incumbent, she's doing pretty well. And as outside money starts to flow in the form of super PACs, 501c3 groups, and the Democratic Senatorial Campaign Committee, this could start to narrow Joni Ernst's fundraising lead. As we can see in this article from The Hill, in the first half of in the first half of the second quarter of 2020, Greenfield outraised Joni Ernst actually $1.5 million to $1.2 million. However, at that point, Ernst had $7 million in her campaign bank account compared to $4.7 million for Theresa Greenfield. However, it's not all puppies and roses for Theresa Greenfield. She is attempting to buck a trend in Iowa that has seen Democrats begin to lose leverage. Iowa comprises districts like Iowa's 4th district, represented currently by Republican Steve King, who actually just recently lost the Republican nomination for re-election to this seat. The Cook Partisan Voting Index puts this at a Republican plus 11 district to places like Iowa's 1st district, represented by Abby Finkenauer, which is a Democrat plus 1 district. Iowa's 2nd district, represented by David Lobasak, which is a Democrat plus 1 district, which comprises places like Des Moines and Cedar Rapids. And then Iowa's 3rd district, represented by Cindy Axne, which is a Democrat, which is in this Republican plus 1 district. Now, you may ask yourself, well, how is Biden being the nominee going to help or hinder Theresa Greenfield? And the answer is that Biden is not very popular amongst Iowa Democrats. He found himself in 3rd place in Iowa. During the Iowa caucuses. He's not popular amongst Iowa Democrats, typically more anti-establishment, and voted in droves for Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders won the popular vote in Iowa, despite losing the state overall to Pete Buttigieg. So Biden being the nominee is not really going to help Theresa Greenfield so much. He has seen some of his appeal to your sort of blue collar, gray collar voters that personify a state like Iowa. So Biden's not going to do it for Theresa Greenfield. What will do it for Theresa Greenfield? Well, first and foremost, she needs to bolster fundraising leads like she had in the first half of the second quarter of 2020. It needs to be a lot bigger than just $300,000. She needs to begin to close the overall fundraising gap. As Democrats see a groundswell of donations to their Democratic Senatorial Campaign Committee, that could help Theresa Greenfield in this incredibly crucial state. As Theresa Greenfield, as members of the Democratic Party and particularly liberal groups like Democracy for America, like the Democratic Senatorial Campaign Committee, as they begin to coalesce around Theresa Greenfield, as well as Theresa Greenfield begins the process of reaching out to supporters of her primary contenders, like Michael T. Franken, like the more progressive favorites, Kimberly Graham and Eddie Morrow. Theresa Greenfield is known for it is considered a rather liberal option, a rather centrist option for a lot of your Bernie Sanders supporters. So she will need to consolidate the support of Michael T. Franken, her closest primary rival, who she beat by 23%, and Kimberly Graham, who received 15% of the vote in this state, and Eddie Morrow, who received 10.99%, just under 11%. She is going to have to coalesce those groups if she's going to be able to defeat Joni Ernst. She's going to need to expand her reach beyond your typical Biden Democrats that clearly don't populate Iowa enough in order for her to win with them on her own. And uh, she needs she needs this trend to continue where Joni Ernst, despite spending far more money than her, is still seeing a considerable lag in the polls. And other than that, this election looks to be, even though I still have it ranked as a lean Republican seat in my Senate prediction, and I expect to continue to have that, although to have this be a lean Republican seat all the way up until the election. She's going to this seat is going to be a lot more interesting to watch as we go forward, as it looks like Theresa Greenfield may indeed have a shot in this crucial seat for the Democrats if they want to gain a Senate majority. So thank you guys so much for watching this video today or listening in on Spotify, Anchor, Google Podcasts, or anywhere else. Please make sure to leave a like, leave a comment. Tell me what I could be doing better. Tell me what you want to hear more about. And I will see you all in the next video. Thank you guys so much for watching.